Hello, and this is the final Titan Quest build video I'm making, and this one will cover the Avenger class of Titan Quest. Avenger class consists of hunting and earth masteries. It's actually quite similar to the Sage class, which I already covered in one of the earlier videos, and as you can notice it's a hybrid because it's got one fight mastery and one magic mastery. But you can also take this class in a couple of general directions. You can either go as an archer or you can go as a melee. As an archer, you're obviously using bows, but as a melee, you'll be concentrating on spears mostly. So spears will be good because you got hunting mastery. So let's go into the skills. I'll cover the archer type first. Just as with any kind of archer class who uses hunting mastery, marksmanship tree is a must. You should get that as early as possible. You should pretty much max it as well as early as possible, especially to get that scatter shot at the top, which is a really decent skill. So other skills you want to get early on would be wood law, which increases your attack speed and defensive ability. So that's self-explanatory. And you should get Art of the Hunt quite early on as well. That's a permanent buff. Apart from the synergy at the top, that's I only put 1 point to that because that to reduce the entrapment duration in case enemies trap you in a net or something. You don't really need much of a movement speed. Although if you do notice that as an archer you want to get away from enemies faster, you could max that as well if you want. Then you got temporary buff, Call of the Hunt. That's good for those moments when you need some extra firepower. You need to deal extra damage, so that's a useful one for those moments. And then you got Study Prey. That's a debuff. So once again, it's quite self-explanatory. It's a useful debuff to get. And if you notice, I also maxed out the Flash Out skill at the top, because as an Avenger class, you'll be dealing in elemental damage since you got Earth Mastery. So Flash Out would be good to get to weaken the enemies in regard to the elemental resistances. Some other skills, you got Volley. That's a good one to get, obviously, because it's makes you from time to time shoot 3 times at once. So that's really useful. And Herbal Remedy, you don't have to max. You can at least a couple of points, and that would be already useful. But you can max it if you got spare skill points. It's a good buff, and it actually stays for a long time once you activate it. It'll give you tons of poison resistance. Let's go to the Earth Mastery with the Archer style. As this is a hybrid class, you should definitely make use of the enchantment skill here, so Earth Enchantment, we should get that. And as you noticed, I actually went for both the base skill itself and Brimstone. I maxed both of them out. This is because Brimstone increases your physical damage and the base skill increases your fire damage. And as a hybrid, you'll be dealing in both, so I would highly recommend you to max both of them. And then you have here some 1-point wonders. You got Heat Shield, which is good. 1 point is good for that 15% physical damage resistance. And you got Stone Form, which is a good panic button to protect you once you're getting low on health. And Volatility, that's good to get 1 point as well. You could put more if you got any more skill points, but generally 1 is already good enough. And then also you'll have some spare skill points here, which you can spend either on offensive skills, like I put in the Eruption here. Since we haven't got any other offensive skills, I thought I'd go for Eruption, that's a good one. Or alternatively, you can actually go for Core Dweller, because as an archer you might feel like you need a meat shield. So Core Dweller would be quite good to get if you really wish to have a pet. And if you're going for Core Dweller, then you should max out the base skill as well as Inner Fire and Metamorphosis. But for Wildfire skill, only 1 point is enough. Or if you don't want to spend that much points on a pet, if you remember, Hunting Mastery also has a Monster Lure, so that one will take less points, and it will lure the enemies away from you, although it won't do much on the offensive side of things. So this is something you'd want to decide for yourself. And yeah, let's go for the melee style Avenger now. Most things are quite similar. One of the key differences is that you don't need to go for a marksmanship tree because you're not using bows. So that will free up a lot of skill points and you can use them elsewhere. Since you'll be using spears, Takedown is going to be a very useful skill to get. It's a charging skill, so it will cause you to rush into a group of enemies and just give one of them a smack. And all other things pretty much the same. You got Wood Law still necessary, and Art of the Hunt and Call of the Hunt all useful, and Study Prey as well, and Volley as well. And yeah, Herbal Remedy. Pretty much everything else stays the same. So let's go for the Earth. Well, the Earth would be a little bit different here. I still got the Eruption here, still got Heat Shield and Stone Form and Volatility. For Earth Enchantment, you still should get it, but if you notice, I actually decided not to max the base skill here, because as a melee character, you'll be concentrating more on the physical side of things. So Although Brimstone is still useful, the base skill you might want to just keep 1 point on that, because you might not be dealing as much elemental damage as you would if you were an archer. Although if you still feel like you are dealing a lot of fire damage, then that will be a good one to get, because it will amplify the amount of fire damage you have. So you could either max it or not. It depends on circumstances and whether you've got spare skill points. And if you want to actually had enough spare skill points to actually go for Core Dweller, although it's not really that necessary, like as a melee character you would be able to stand your ground by yourself. So if you want, instead you might want to go for another offensive skill, like Volcanic Orb for example, or you could even go for Ring of Flame, because since you're a melee character you'll be in the thick of the battle a lot, surrounded by enemies, and so Ring of Flame will actually help to soften the enemies around you and help you deal more damage to them. Yeah, so that was those were the skills, and I'll mention the stats. Like I said, as this class is a hybrid, you'll be going mostly for a standard hybrid ratio, which is about 2 points in strength per every 1 point in intelligence and 1 point in dexterity. So that's a good ratio to go with hybrids. If you are an archer, you actually might want to balance it even more and do it ratio 1 to 1 to 1. Although still keep in mind that you still need strength as an archer, because your piercing damage is dependent on your total physical damage, and strength will increase your total physical damage, so you still need strength as an archer. And yeah, that was the Avenger class. So that was the final video in this series of Titan Quest builds. I hope you found them useful, and I've actually decided I'll remake the Elementalist video again, which is one of the older ones, since back when I made it I concentrate more on Mele Elementalist, which is not exactly a standard Elementalist build, so I'll remake that one. And yeah, that's it. If you got any more suggestions for anything else, Titan Quest related or otherwise, just feel free to ask, and I'll catch you later.